Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Peak Power. I am Kara Flippin, Senior Ruby Ambassador of Plexus Worldwide.
And I am Nikki Westerfield, Ruby Ambassador with Plexus Worldwide, and we are so super excited. We have Diamond Ambassador Jerit on our call, and he has some really exciting tips for us, and he's going to start off with his story, and then we're going to just kind of go from there. So go ahead.
Hi, Pink Power team. As she said, my name's Jerit, Abart with a T though, and then I'm a Silver Ambassador who just started a couple weeks ago. No, I'm just teasing. Let me tell you my story, and then I'll kind of show you how my wife and I work this together, and I hope that the next 30 minutes is a good blessing for you and your team, and maybe some tips and tricks you guys can pick along the way. And then more importantly, I want to talk to a lot of the husbands tonight or this afternoon that'll be watching this and listening. You know, guys, if you can just sit through 30 minutes of this, hear how a regular guy just like you is literally changed his entire outcome for the legacy that I leave with my children, how I spend my time, and it was just by supporting my wife, working this together, and working this as a vision. So what I'd like to do is go back about 3 years ago, and I might even go back a little bit further, quickly to show you who and what I'm about. My career has been in video production. I would say that I'm an artistic guy. I like making videos. I've worked for all sorts of channels. I worked for the NBA for several years. I loved my career, and it was very satisfying, and I still do quite a bit of video work. But I found myself, as the children were young and as I was working, that my travel to be successful in that just required a lot. And I often found myself away from the children, specifically if baseball practices as they were getting older, practices, school functions, and things like that. And I loved my work, but I loved my children more. And I was starting to look for what am I going to do? Now, I was working for myself, had a successful business, but there wasn't an out. I was doing everything, right? And so this was about 3 years ago that we first started hearing about Plexus. I remember my wife and I were I was just praying for another option. I was considering, I had job offers, and I was considering taking a job offering, moving, taking a pay cut, just so I could have some stability in my life, like 9 to 5 sort of stuff. And some of you guys might be listening to me like, wow, you know, you'd be taking a pay cut just for like consistency. I would do anything just to know that I could bring my son to baseball practice. I knew that I needed to get out of this trap. My life was so hectic that I would get a phone call on Friday and I would need to be across country on Monday. And so it was hard and difficult for me to plan things. And so enter Plexus into our lives. My wife and I lived in a small community. We've since moved, and just very small community, great to us, and we'd kind of heard some rumblings of this Plexus thing in the area. And it'd probably been around for 8 to 9 months before somebody approached us seriously and said, hey, we think you guys would be great at this. This would be something that you guys might be interested in doing. And so I remember my wife saying, hey, this might be something that we could do. It's that the products are really good, and I think that we could do this kind of together. And at the time, my wife didn't know I was struggling so much to find another option for work. I was kind of keeping that silent or internalized with myself of being like, what am I going to do? I need to figure out the next big thing. And so my friend came and talked to Kristen. Kristen's like, Jerry, you need to sign up for this thing. And so I remember thinking, what are the risks? It was the price $34.95, and it was products that were great products that we were going to take anyway, like the probiotics and the new pink drink Slim. I wasn't sure what that is, but hey, let's try that. My wife was very health conscious, and she was like, gave me the thumbs up. At least if she's good, then I'm good, right? So we signed up, and immediately I thought, hey, this could be an avenue for us to pursue a career together that might be my way out of just working all the time. And so I remember just talking with my wife and being like, hey, let's make a solid effort with this. And so we weren't kind of in, we were all in. My wife started posting about it, I started talking to people about it, and we just started signing people up. because we were excited and pumped about it. And I wanted to interject something. We didn't know how everything worked. We didn't know everything about the comp plan. We didn't know how you just got paid. We didn't know about back office stuff. We were just passionate about that these products working. Now, I had a lot of belief in the product specifically because a friend of mine had been taking the products and seen an amazing result. So I started taking the products, and I've seen great results too, but I like telling everybody else's story that's just been phenomenal. I have a ton of energy. I feel good. Maybe somebody will share my story now, but I didn't have like some like explosive, amazing testimony to wait for that to happen to myself before I started sharing with it. I believed other people's testimonies, and so I was reading those, and I just was totally floored by the positive results that everybody was seeing taking these products that was literally changing their lives. And then I remember giving my parents, of course, everybody signs up their parents or says, hey, you will try this, right? And so my parents have always were great to us, and so they're like, yeah, we'll try this thing. And you know, I remember my mom and my dad taking the product, and I would follow up with my dad maybe about a month later, and my mom separately, right? And I said, hey, how's it going? And my mom would be like, Jerit, that stuff is awesome. I've noticed your dad stopped snoring or something like that. Or my dad would be like, hey, your mom loves it because this or that. I just remember feeling like, hey, my parents are seeing a positive result in that. And then my mother, for my children's sake, my mom was just slow and tired and needed naps and things like that. And I remember taking my children to go play with her, Chris and I, with my mom and dad together and stuff. And she just had spunk and energy and was wanting to engage with the children. I just remember, wow, that's all I need to know. Now, this was about a month after we had kind of joined and started working with the product, and I have been sold ever since. I just dive into testimonies and just a really gun-ho. And then as I'm kind of rambling and closing with my story, my wife and I've learned some MLM talk, some terminology that it's kind of worked into my vocabulary now, but we are power partners. We work this business side by side. We work it together. Where she's weak, I'm strong, and where I'm typically weak, she's incredibly strong. And so we help each other work this together as a team. And the biggest thing that I've had to learn along this path, and I think this will ring true with a lot of guys, would be I've had to adjust my thinking of being like this guy who disappears to go work, to bring money home to feed the family, and then I have this like thing of this provide. I provide now for my family more than ever before, but I have this like responsibility to my children. There's times where mama needs to make a call or work with our team, and I'm now with my children where typically my wife would have done that before, and now I'm just taking the children and really engaging with them and just being the father that God calls us to be. And it wasn't comfortable at first, and I'm still working on that every single day. But it's the holy thing. It's the good thing that God wants us to be. And so now through this, I'm blessed that way. But I have more and more opportunities to be with my children. So I'm rambling, and so I know you ladies had a couple questions, and I think
sure there's a lot of
you guys go ahead and shoot some of those, and I'll take it down to the path.
A lot of men that can really relate to that though, and just having a traditional mindset about that, and just, you know, the moms, you know, do the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care of the kids, and the males are out of the house and bringing home. And I don't know, sometimes it is hard to adjust the difference because you have to make a couple sacrifices with Plexus, because the women do have to put a lot of time and effort into it to reach their goals.
I agree.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Kara.
I have a question. How do you really like sincerely connect with people to make them feel like they really like want to talk to you? I know you're really good with that.
Okay, so how do I convince people to talk to me? You know, that's a good one. You know, one thing that that rang true with me a while back, because I never really put my finger on it before, but I treat this as a real business, and I'm serious about it. And so because my wife and I treat it as a real business, I want to put parameters on that so I know what I'm talking about. This industry is called network marketing. We are in the people business. And what that means is I'm not a used car salesman, and I'm not bad-mouthing car salesman, sorry if you are. It's that connotation of like sleazy sales. Like, I'm in the people business. My job is to like connect with people and engage with people and to just reach out and be a part. Oh, I have a little guest. Hey, the nice thing about working from home. Hey, sweetie. So you can stand there. Oh, hold on 1 second. She dropped something.
Oh, you're fine.
Hey, sweetie. Hey, you come right back, and I'll be right back. You know, that stuff used to bother me when I was working my other job, and now it's like, I want to encourage, like, that's like it's great. She's my 2-year-old, and she comes in and we play, and my son will come down. They just started school a little bit ago, but we'd go shoot BB guns out in the back, and it's just, I love it. So sometimes it's like we're busy, but that's what it's all about. So what was I talking about?
Connecting with people and network marketing.
Okay, yes. So we're in the people business. So what does that mean? Well, if you're shy and you, that doesn't mean that you can't work this, but I'm going to be honest with you, it's difficult. If you are a person that doesn't like to interact with other people or connect with like a common interest or something like that, either in person or even digitally, there's amazing ways that I'll give you a tip here in just a moment, but there's all these awesome ways that you can engage with people that I've never even met in person. I have friends all over the country that I've never even physically met because we've connected through like groups and things like that. So we're in the people business. I like connecting with people, and at the end of the day, I just want to share something with them and tell you about my story so that then I can help other people, because that is our motive. And I find a consistent thread about people in Plexus specific that have had a lot of success in the business, and the core comes down to people just want to help other people, and I want to see this for your families just as much as it's been a blessing for my family. So
I had a comment there, but I lost it. But I'll go on. Sorry.
Well, if you think of it, just interject it.
Yeah, I will. I was thinking, how is your team culture? Can you tell us how you work with your team regularly, and what are some of the things that y'all do?
Yeah, that's a great question. What's our team culture like? A lot of the people that we've signed up were maybe acquaintances or friends, and now are business partners and are even closer friends. And so I would say that we keep a culture of friendship, of course, but we have a culture of like pushing each other. You've heard the proverb, iron sharpeth iron. We don't get a lot of people will be negative from time to time. You know, we'll vent or something like that. But we have a culture now in our groups of like, we don't do that publicly. And if you have an issue with somebody, you go directly to the person, or we take it in the small batches. And we do it from a very biblical standpoint. We found that to have a lot of success with that. In 3 years, I chat with my wife often. I'm like, hey, what's going on? Are there any things that I'm not aware of behind the scenes? She's like, babe, we are good. I hear some things in some other groups for people that deal with a lot of drama or negative sort of stuff. And I have to say that I am the boss of my own company, right? And so that's what I love about Plexus. I can be how I want to be to my team and be the leader that I want to be. And so I just keep calling my team members and my power partners and the people, like the image that I want to convey to the world and to our group of being people of integrity, excellence, driving with a goal in mind to be excellent at what we do. So our team culture is, we have issues from time to time, and we address those, and so we don't let things harbor as best as we can. I know that I can't make everybody happy as much as people would love this face. I'm just teasing. But it's just, we have issues from time to time, and we try to do the best thing that we can do to address that. But overall, we keep a very positive, and collaborative way, and we try to keep it very professional as well. I know as friends we sometimes will vent and talk and things, but when it comes to our Plexus business, we keep it professional. We act professionals because we want to replicate that and then teach that to our team members, and so that I have a close connections with my 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s. But as I get team members further and further away from me, if I am not practicing good practices, that a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy, they're not always picking up the best of things and stuff. And so I just always want to do a good job to teach what I'm learning, so that then they can replicate, and I learn a lot from them as well. You know, they pick up new things. I'm like, oh, that's good, and I'll incorporate it. So
I'm sure most instances it's kind of a follow the leader type thing. However the leader's acting is how the team is going to act, and negativity breeds nothing good. It usually gets you kind of stuck in a hole, and nobody's moving forward out of that.
You know, I'd like to say this as well. If right now you have your team and you're struggling with some of that, I would say that, first of all, pray about guidance on that. Maybe seek out the word on how some of that should be addressed. But as my mom would say, nip it in the bud. Like, just do a public post. Be like, guys, I am so sorry. I have failed you because I wasn't strong enough here. And just, like, turn it around. Like, you can just change just like that and then adjust that. Don't let that pop up again. It's so great. You know, sometimes we have this burden that we always wear. I can't say this around this person and stuff. I understand there's complexities. Go to that person, talk to them. Just like the opportunity for Plexus right now with the timing is just so awesome. I don't want you to get slowed down with things that can easily be fixed, because you have enough to deal with right now of just growing your business and doing that sort of stuff. So just take care of those issues so that you can thrive right now. And I want you to have fun doing this business. My wife and I love this. We have a lot of fun connecting with people and meeting new people. And if it's heavy-hearted, it doesn't need to be. Just take care of those sort of issues.
Yeah. I agree.
I totally agree. Okay, so there are so many women of Plexus, but sometimes it's hard to convince the men sometimes. How do you get your fellow men excited about the opportunity and about trying the products?
Great question. So how do I convince men? Well, I'll tell you, I can think of 2 stories that I'll tell real quick. So as you we're doing the interview and people watching this, you can kind of tell that I'm a laid back kind of guy. I'm passionate about stuff. I have to say, I don't think I'll tell somebody about an opportunity and I'm like, hey, I think this thing is a good deal. You need to do this. And I have some people in my life that I've probably pushed a little bit. Sometimes I call it a velvet hammer. They need a little velvet hammer love, like, you need to do this. And they'll go, okay, but I know where to push. But overall, I don't think I convince a lot of people. I just tell them what is working for me, how I do it, and how my wife work it. And then I show them literally thousands of people that make paychecks based off of working this business that are in our downline, and they go, okay, I'm convinced. So I'll tell you 2 stories. For years, early in my Plexus career working, I was traveling quite a bit still with a good friend of mine, and we'd always chat, and he's like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, well, my wife and I were working this business thing. And I was just telling him about my success. And he was a good friend, and I wasn't bragging, but I was trying to convince him at the same time. But I'm just saying, hey, this is working. You should take a look at this. I met with him at lunch yesterday, and he and his wife have been signed up for a while. But it was so awesome because he's just like, Jerit, I've seen the success. I want this success. And they just keep chugging at it, and they're just cranking at it. So I didn't have to convince him, other than I'm just sharing with a friend of mine. I'll tell another story. So there is my background's video, right? So I meet producers and directors and things, and I met this one guy that was interested in connecting, and he wants to make movies or something like that. And I like that sort of stuff too. So he came over we invited him to our house, and he's like, so what do you do? Like, how do you do this? And I kept a good heart about this, but this man and his wife started making fun of my wife and I. And they were teasing us. They're like, oh, pink drink, yeah, right, this is a scam and stuff like that. And at the time, I remember I have a light heart about it. I'm forgiving them in my mind, right? But I was a little offended because they're like, man, this guy just essentially asked me for a job. On top of it, he says he wants to do a lot of ministry work, which praise God for that. But he was looking for another option, and I gave him an avenue to do something, and I showed him the success we've had, and I showed him like, hey man, we have a lot in common. Like we've done the same sort of stuff. We've done this. Your wife and I like, and they teased us about it, and I can't convince that guy. Maybe only time can. Maybe he'll come back a year from now and be like, wow, you know what, dude? I was so negative in my brain that I wasn't even open to it. So I keep doors open. I will follow up with him. I'll keep in contact. We become Facebook friends. We do that sort of stuff. And so I know that he didn't sign up today, but he and his wife will sign up. So I found that to be true over and over again. So the big thing about my wife and I is we just want our message of who and what we're about: faith, family, helping other families find another option, an alternative to get out of debt, to pay an extra bill on a car, to save up for a vacation, any of these sort of things that then families kind of who are really hard to that say, I would never. You know, once you suffer for a little bit or you do without, there's a lot of, you know what, I'm willing to do now. And so I think that they have to kind of get to that place. So to kind of close up with trying to convince gentlemen, I've signed up several guys. I've signed up a lot of families that lives are drastically different, and the men on those teams working with their wives have the same attitude I do. It's like, hey man, if you don't want to do it, then fine, whatever. But if you do, then I'll show you the ways, and we can have a lot of fun with this together. And those guys are a little bit more open-minded to that. I mean, they just have a lot of success typically that I've seen, and especially I can account for the guys that are rigid and hard and not willing to do simple things like maybe learn how to cook a meal, because your wife would be a little bit more effective at maybe communicating with other women on your team or connecting to wives. I'm gonna go into the next avenue here. Why women? Why guys? Where are we the best at? Well, my background, because of what I know a lot of advertising, and I know marketing, and I know trends, I know people. We're in the health and wellness industry selling a health and wellness product. I'll speak for my household, but my wife has always been the one traditionally that has made that health decision of what we're eating, what's getting cooked, and when we have doctor's appointments. She just handles that. And I'll be like, hey, my tooth's hurting or my back's hurting. She's like, okay, I'll get you to the chiropractor. I'll get this, I'll do that. And so in America, traditionally, that's the women, the wives are doing that. And so also when it comes to buying health food or any sort of just ingredients for making meals and stuff, the women are doing that. And so because I acknowledge that women are the catalyst for that I go, okay, my wife's a woman, I'm a man. They're like, let me have my wife spend more time communicating and networking with women in that. If we were selling camouflage, then guys, you would have a good argument for saying, hey, I need to be more on that sort of stuff. But I've seen so many times the men who are supporting their wives and being a true support. You know, hey, honey, let's set some parameters on this Facebook connecting. A lot of that would be guilty of, hey, I'm networking, I'm connecting. You might not be talking about Plexus, but you are networking, you're kind of working. I won't classify this as IPA. This is a nerd talk, but it's income producing activity. But we're in the people business, so you're connecting with people, you're building trust with people, rapport. You're not always trying to sell them Plexus, but maybe they have a question about how I'm having an issue with my 2-year-old who's misbehaving. What would you do? And you're kind of building a relationship with people. That takes time. I do believe that you need to put parameters on that. Be like, hey, we turn the iPhones off at 7 o'clock at our house so that we can put the kids down and do that sort of stuff. There are that, but you also have once you get the kids down, there are those sort of things. And typically the men that I've seen, and I talk to the husbands all the time because I am guilty of all this. I like talking about this because I need guys pushing me too, like saying, hey, Jerit, you need to get this a little bit under more control and stuff. So, but men, if like learning how to cook or help clean dishes or say, hey, babe, thanks for the meal, we're going to clean up. I know that you had a 7 o'clock or a 6:30 business meeting that you needed to go do. I'm going to deal with the kids. I'm going to get them all set and stuff like that. She can go do a call 30 minutes later, 45 minutes later. She's done. She's tucking the kids in. I mean, just get into a rhythm. right now, I can see guys going, oh, I could never like my. I'm telling you, if you could just try this, I will guarantee you that you will have a better relationship with your wife, and you'll have a better relationship with your kids, and you're already winning there. So if you don't see any financial gain or any better business, you'll just have a better relationship with your wife. And at the end of the day, you would say, well, Jared, that Plexus thing was a complete failure, but my wife and I are happier together and the kids. I mean, guys, that's a win. So um, help your wives, guys. Like, I don't need you to learn how to be a chef, but you know, there's a lot of dirty dish cleaning and just managing kids and things like that. Here's the next question I'll get with guys. I can relate to you. Early in my Plexus career, I was working another job. I had to keep that thing going, and so at some point I started ramping down as this other was coming up. It's difficult. You know, anything in life that's worthwhile is a lot of hard work. But I'm telling you, it would be a whole lot more work for you to go $100,000 or $300,000 in debt buying a franchise or building some sort of business out, and then devoting all this time to get that other business going, at the same time working another job and still providing for your family. Plexus is not a miracle. It's an opportunity for you to for $34 to get a business. They handle all the shipping. They handle all the back office. They just cut you a check for you sharing it with people and following up with people and building relationships with people and just really reaching into people's lives. So guys, you can totally do this by supporting your wife and doing that. And that's how that looks for my wife and I. So I'm not telling you anything that I'm not doing. I support my wife on the technical side. We have some great resources that we put online. If you go to facebook.com//PlexusU. We also do youtube.com/PlexusU is PLEXU.com is our other one. And this was an overflow of all the teaching and the engagement things that we were doing for our team. So how do I help my wife? Constantly, every day. I help video and or teach or talk directly with our team. And so I found my wife answering the same questions over and over, and that was the catalyst for me to go, hey, babe, if I could record this, we could do that sort of stuff. So
your comment earlier about talking about how you just kind of got made fun of and stuff, and I know that things like that happen, especially to new ambassadors and they're going out. Like, I feel like that's one of those things that really kind of crush them, and sometimes they don't want to pick up and go on because they don't necessarily want to have to deal with that being made fun of. And I feel like, for me personally, I've kind of learned over the years that for one, people kind of have a right to be skeptical because we have so many things out there. And also, we're trained differently, especially men. Like, we're in such a traditional route of, you know, working the 9 to 5 to make money and stuff. So a tip for me, I guess, instead of letting that just like completely crush you, just kind of understand that they have a right to be skeptical, and it's going to take you a little longer just to kind of maybe prove to them like what you have is legit and a real deal. And like he said, he's keeping that door open so he can you know, continue to build that relationship. So in a year he can come back and be like, okay, Jaret, let's talk a little more about this Plexus thing.
totally, and I think some of that would be building trust with me. If I was a person who's jumping from this thing to this thing to this thing to this thing, I mean, think of the people that you know in your life that kind of do that. It's a, you know, it's like, do I really trust this person? That's, you know, Aunt Bertha always does these weird things and doing that, and I'm just not into that sort of stuff. So I understand people being skeptical and stuff like that. So
Sometimes I was going to comment on that too, because I think it's so crazy, especially seeing how successful you guys are, for anybody to say no to you. Like, it still just mind blows me that people still say no to you guys, and you're so successful. Like, it just still blows my mind, because it's just crazy. We really do. We have it made with this company and the business opportunity that we have. We really do.
I don't. When a person says no to us now or teases us, or family members, I have family members that just refuse. They're just no way ever. And even from the product standpoint, I'm like, look, I will buy you the product. I know you'll see benefit from it. And they're just so turned off by, I don't know how to convince them any otherwise, but I'm just saying it happens to us. And so
I I feel like sometimes I feel bad for them because I'm like, I feel bad for you guys because you don't want to do this with us. Like you should want to, and I don't know. I feel bad for people that don't even have an open mind enough to like even look into it just a little bit, you know?
You just can't convince some folks, but just keep a positive attitude with them, and just, I like to say, hey, you might not be interested now, but they'll be like, we're still friends. I'm like, I know, I just hadn't got you yet. And so it's just, I kind of keep it cute or fun or light or something like that, so that then they go, okay, he's not whatever. The other thing that I would say would be, we typically go, when we're sharing Plexus business, so we're going to talk business here. Let's talk business opportunity. We typically go after our friends and or family members that we feel comfortable with to share an opportunity with. And so those are typically our largest critics every time. And so because they have our best interest at heart. Jerit, can you really trust these people? This. And so my encouraging thing would be for you is go after the people that you are either know or look up to, and go after those type of people that have influence. And so you might not have a good connection with somebody that you're like, wow, they have a big blog following, and I could never approach them. I'm sure a ton of people have already talked to them, or maybe somebody that is in your community that has a lot of influence and is, look, people that are in that sort of phase of life or have that type of influence, I find them, okay, here's a book tip, right? The Color MLM book, Big Al. Have you guys read this? Have you promoted this to your team yet? Have you heard this book? Yes?
What is it?
Okay, it's called the Color MLM. I'm butchering it. It's called the Color Personality MLM. It's guy Big Al. Read this book.
I've heard of it. Okay.
Put this in your link. Now, the reason I'm telling you this book is you're going to learn that the way Jerit sees the world is not the same as everybody else sees the world. So you might, he breaks it down into 4 color types, personality types, and this is a summarization of what this book is about. But he talks about red color type, a blue color type, a green color type, and a yellow color type. Okay, so instantly, I'd like you to read these books and then read this book as a group and do this with your leaders and break it down into smaller groups, 3 or 4, and you guys do a little chapter a week. It's such an easy read. But I want you to start identifying what your personality type is, what your why is, why you like doing something, and then I want you to learn how to identify other people's color types. And so traditionally, a red personality type is a person who's led by being up on stage and people applauding them. They're also led by money. Hey, you know what? I can make money doing this. Well, then I'm interested. Blue type personalities are people that like to have a lot of fun. They like to take trips to Hawaii. They like to go have meetings and meet people, kind of like the life of the party. You have yellow personality types. Those are people that they'll do anything for you. They like to help people. They like money. They need it, but they're really more driven to just help people. And then you have this personality type called the green personality type, which are awesome. These green personality types are the people that want a lot of information. They want to be able to read all the ingredients. They want to understand that compensation plan. They want to know the ins and outs of how everything works, and then they work the business. And so on our team, it's great because all of those people, all those colors together have made us stronger. So I get asked, Jerit, what's in this ingredient? I don't know. Ask this person, or I'll get that information. I know where to go to get that information. But red and blue personality types are the people that I was speaking to earlier about being in the people business. These people are to be up in the stage and they're driven and they're leaders, natural leaders. Blues like to have the center of attention and stuff. But these people traditionally are the ones that build amazing, huge, large teams. And so if you're a yellow personality type that loves to care about people, you got to remember, you're only seeing the world as a whole is only 25% of what the other people, and I'm just assuming, let's make an assumption here, I'm a Christian. If we're all Christians, or we have this attitude of treat people right, all of those colors are okay. Where it gets bad is if a person's only driven by money and or greed, or if a person only wants to be a party animal. But let's just, we'll keep it neutral in the sense that all of these people are generally good, they're just driven by different things. And so if you can go, ooh, that person's a red personality type, I'm a yellow, but boy, I know red personality types, if they even just blurted any Plexus post on their Facebook, 80 people would comment, and then they would have a huge meeting tomorrow, and then all of a sudden, like, look for red personality types. And as you're meeting people, just be like, ooh, that's a red, ooh, that's a blue. I'm a green personality type, and you're like, well, I could never, I need to know. So look for the red, like, look for those other parts to help complement your team so you have all those colors that makes you really strong. Hope that's a good tip for you.
That's awesome. I feel like I definitely want to do that. I want to read that book. Can you repeat the book really quick?
Okay. I'm going to look it up while you're chatting, or I'll look it up again here. But it's...
Okay.
I know I've seen that, the color personality thing floating around Facebook, people posting it and saying, what color are you? And stuff like that.
Oh, you ladies totally need to do that. My wife and all of her initial groups and stuff like that, they just did all of this personality profiling early on with their career, and then they could kind of go, ooh, this is what it is. All right, guys, sorry, here's the book title.
That's awesome.
The 4 Color Personalities for MLM. The Secret Language for Network Marketing, and it's written by a guy named Tim Big Al Schreider. Sorry, Big Al, don't kill me. But read this. Like, I think, look, you might know all about the ingredients and learn how to grow, but I also want you to read books so that you learn how to better connect with people. You know, I hear this with people, if God just wants this to happen for me, it'll happen. Look, God has put a burden on people's heart to learn how to be doctors, and so that they learn how to do surgery and to fix things, and He's given them chemists the knowledge to like mix different things together so that there's great medicines and stuff out there. And so, you know, if you have a broken arm, you don't just pray over your arm. God's like, hey, I gave you the hospital. Like, I gave men the ability to make a hospital and stuff. So that's a bad example of what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to say you have the tools here. You have to move it. You have to be active of setting goals. The difference between a dream, my dream was to retire early and to spend time with my kids. But if I didn't actually start walking the path towards that and setting goals, you have to set goals. You have to set, like, for the next 90 days, I'm going to be nuts. Like, I'm just going to work my business where I'm going to follow up with people, and I'm going to be deliberate about making new connections. And this thing is getting so long, so let me give you a tip on how to connect with people.
Okay.
You're kind of like, well, Jared, I could never go to the grocery store and talk to somebody. Well, I would give you the first challenge. Your challenge is to go to the grocery store next time you're at and just talk to somebody and get their contact information. And I do not want you to worry about or even think about sharing Plexus with them. I would like you to maybe share the gospel with them if you're a Christian, but like build some courage, like get in the thing of like saying hi to somebody. If it's real difficult for you to even like make eye contact with somebody, your challenge today is when you go out and pick up the kids, you're going to wave and be polite to somebody that they may have ignored you before or something like that. Just like, I want you to like work on those sort of things. Those are like good people skills. The other thing would be like social media. You know, we get on Facebook and we connect with our clique, with our people, with our friends. I would encourage you that where I see an amazing potential for growth is for you to connect with people that you don't even know. And how you would do that is through this thing called Facebook groups. Now you're like, well, I already have my groups. Well, what interests you? You know, okay, I'm going to go back to me. I like video. I like motion graphics. I like connecting with people. I like talking about biblical things. Well, there's millions of groups that you can ask to join and be a part of this thing. And I want this to become a Plexus group. I want this to be a place where you can connect with a common goal in mind of just connecting with people, talking about knitting or kids or training kids or whatever hobbies you're interested in. If your husband is interested in working with his hands, I mean, those are great groups to kind of connect with. And through those, people are going to start to build you're going to build a little relationship. And then through there, you might even friend request them. And I think that I can see a lot of income-producing activities of building relationships outside of that normal, like people coming to you. I want you to go out into the world and find where these people are. And I don't want you on these groups if it's a knitting group. If it's a knitting group, I don't want you to start saying, Plexus, join my team. I want you to connect with these ladies like you've never have before. Like maybe you'll start talking about kids or something. Maybe you start talking about new trends on knitting. I don't know. But then through that, they're gonna come back and see you on your personal wall, and I want you to be deliberate in that. Like I want you to deliberately build relationships with people that are outside of your normal little bucket. And what's so awesome is you can do that from the comfort of your computer. Some amazing, the first diamond of Plexus in Canada, Eva, is in our direct downline with my wife and my wife and her never physically met. They had connected based off of groups or forums, the old days on the websites, that they became friends and they trust each other through some other health things. And when my wife approached her and Eva, it's just how it connected. And so if you're not actively doing that today, then you're not going to be able to harvest that crop 6 months from now or a year from now. So I need you to constantly be planting new seeds, because it takes, sometimes those crops will shoot up and sometimes they take a year, 6 months, even longer to kind of, till that soil and for those relationships to grow. So if you're not constantly doing that, if you're only connecting with your Facebook people, then you are missing. I need you to do that, but you also need to be planting new seeds. And how you're going to do that is just one easy little tip: is just connecting through groups.
I don't think anybody's really ever shared about connecting through groups in that way before. We have shared about groups to share Plexus, but not like that. So I'm going to implement that one myself.
I took lots of notes on that one. I really like that. That's a very, very good tip. Thank you.
Now people are dropping like flies on our video. They're just like, ah. But if you stuck around, maybe I'll give you some other really good tips too. So it'll be like our little secret. They'll be like, ha ha ha. You didn't stick around long enough.
True.
I know whenever I first joined Plexus, I've said this before, but I had like 5 friends. I was the person that would go to Walmart whenever nobody was there, so I could not talk to anybody because I just wanted to go in and get my stuff type stuff. But I always whenever I started the business, I would fill my cup up so full every day, just reading these testimonies, these stories, kind of like you said that you did, and I left my house and could not wait to just tell everybody that would listen to me.
It's so fulfilling too, just to go out and even just smile at somebody, and you'd feel good. It makes not only, I feel like smiling is contagious, just the little things, and it just makes you feel good. So even just talking to somebody, not even about Plexus, you're building that relationship, and it feels good to have conversations with people that you have things in common with, or like kids, or like you're saying with those groups. So I think that'll be a game changer for me for sure if I start doing that. That's really good stuff.
It's just amazing how you can pour into other people's, have the approach of not what you'll receive from somebody, but what you can maybe help them with. You don't know what they're struggling with, and if you have that attitude of serving, then it just naturally comes up to, hey, there's a great book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know if you've read that, but that's another one. Please read. It was written about 100 years ago. But what's good about that book is that in the foreword to that book, the top things that people were concerned with 100 years ago were health and finances, 1 and 2, health and finances. And that's 2 things that Plexus has a solution for, health and finances. And so 100 years ago it was on a topic, and it'll be a topic from another 100 years. So it's on the top of people's minds of, you know what, I need to work out more, I need to lose some weight, I don't feel good, I'm tired, I'm groggy. And then the other thing would be, oh man, if I could just make an extra $500 a month, that would just be awesome. And I don't know about you, but I would do all of this all over again if somebody said you could just make $500 a month. We would start tomorrow, because $500 a month is a vacation, it's paid groceries, it's paying off a car, it's saving for college, it's all sorts of just amazing things.
So true.
So we probably do need to wrap this up in a second, but do you have any final tips to leave us with before we jump off here?
Set parameters on what you're doing. Be purposeful. Be purposeful in your income-producing activities, okay? It's too easy for you to get distracted with just connecting with people, and that's where I will side with your husbands, that if you tell your husband, hey, I'm going to go do this right now and I'll be off in 45 minutes, please be off in 45 minutes or 30 minutes. Set parameters on that, and it'll also force you to be very purposeful in what you're doing. So for you to just scroll Facebook, that is not an income producing activity, never is. Where an income producing activity is where you're deliberately connecting with somebody, you're in and out, and then you're messaging them, you're sharing the opportunity, and then the other thing is the follow-up. And we, my wife and I have done a lot of videos kind of on that. We give all of our trade secrets away, by the way, everything. We tell you how to do everything. If you go to facebook.com/PlexusU, we have a 12-day back to basics thing we've done. Everything that we have done, that we teach, we tell you how to do everything from there. And so, and you, by plugging in with the Pink Power ladies here, you guys push each other. Hey, I made contact with 3 people this week, and I followed up with 2 people, and I like motivate, set goals, do that. We're just getting out of that crazy back to school phase. We're heading into, people are like, okay, I have time to breathe. I'm looking for options. I'm so sick and tired of my job that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I need something, and so you will see an increase. And so be deliberate with your posts on social media of sharing opportunity, testimonies, what a difference it's made in your life. Be consistent in that, and then just connect with people in your downline. Don't get too carried away with training all the time. Modify as you learn what's working for you. Everything that I'm saying might not have work for you, but tweak it, make it your own. So.
Mm-hmm. I love all those tips. Thank you so much, and we're so grateful that you were on our call. Thank you so much for being on. I know I took notes, so I'm really excited to start getting in on those groups. Maybe not knitting ones, but
that's more my speed, knitting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. We'll let you get back to your family, and hope you guys have a great day. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching us.
Yes.
Bye, guys.